So, gentlemen, moving on to the sprint final. Very, very closely contested race, which we have Matt Malibu, I think, was the fastest qualifier, running from track 4. If we have a quick look at the race, he has the 5 box in the final, and Ardira Nidge goes in 1.
Yeah, Darren Nidge will be in the final from track 1 as well. So it's interesting. If you look here, you'd have to say that Matt Malibu from 4 broke just in front of Red, but his early pace took him clear to the front. And you'd have to say Ardira Nidge would need a miracle to reverse that form. But Matt Malibu's probably got a little bit more speed to clear now as well. So he's going to need his Sunday best break as he did in his heat to get competitive, I feel. And out of the kind of the main protagonist, I think he might be probably just struggling to get to the front.
Joe, how did you see the race?
Yeah, it's a really good final, to be fair. And we mentioned Matt Malibu last week. He's always clocking between 16:10, 16:20. And I think you might have to go a little bit quicker than that to win this final. I think they'll improve for this. And I'll go for 2, Cronody Zero, to come on for last week's run. Obviously, he's been off a while and he's a classy type. He's lightly raced for his age, as we mentioned last week in the preview. And I think the race could be set up with 3, 5, and 6 all flying to the corner. I think he'd have the legs of 1 and 4 anyway. 4 will be edging in from there. Dream on Lash, she's a bang railer and she'll be edging in. But 3, 5, and 6 could all go to the corner together. And I think if Cronody Zero can just ease himself around the bend, he can go on to win. He didn't show loads of early last week, but I'm hoping he'll come on for that run. And if he pops out, I think he can take advantage of what looks a decent draw in between 1 and Swift Guard, who could be out his way early on.
Yeah, I thought that Swift Guard might be the one here because Swift Guard and Gilo Goldust actually met at Toaster as well, and there wasn't too much between them. But I was quite impressed with the early pace that Swift Guard shows. As much as I am a fan of Cronody Zero myself, I just felt that possibly Swift Guard with a decent start with that early pace could front off. But a lot of this, obviously, being a sprint, will be on the break. And Cole's bitch in trap 6, she's been running really, really well, and she's probably got a decent makeup as well. So it is going to be a competitive final.
A great effort from Ben Reynolds as well, isn't it? 3 in there.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, it's a fantastic feat, and Cronody Zero is a greyhound that I really do like. I've seen him at Nottingham quite a few times, Floyd, and I know Joe sweetened him in this final. If he does break better, then he has got really good zip to the turn.
So, gentlemen, on to the bitches final, and we're going to show the replay of Queen Dolly winning from track 5, where your bitch, you had the one in the race, Joe.
Yeah, we had Hold'em Lauren in 1, and I fancied her a little bit. I thought she might come on for the trial, but she's just not back to herself at the minute, and hopefully that will come with more races. She hasn't had a lot of races, so we'll use that as the reason why. And yeah, Queen Dolly, I know time wise, I know she only went a couple of spots quicker than she did in defeat in the Laurels, but on the ice she was majorly impressive and looked to improve drastically on what she has been doing at Perry Bar. I said last week or the week before that she didn't show the early for me in the trial stakes at all. She popped out and really got done to the bend, and you know, maybe being in with bitches is the way forward with her now. She done it really well. Panto and Whisper was running really well at Romford, and she set the pace to the bend. And Queen Dolly, to be fair, blew her away out the second bend and went on to win really well. So yeah, I'd have to be with Queen Dolly again. I think the draw looks quite good. She's in between 2 slow starters to a degree. Dollar Wisecrack can go up, but wouldn't have the pace to go with 6 and Lights Out with 5. And Lights Out obviously in 4 slow away, and she'll be staying on. So I think it will be carbon copy of last week. I think Panto and Whisper can set the pace of the second bend, and if Queen Dolly turns where she did last week, she can do exactly the same as she did last week. So it'll be 5 for me.
Paul, I was going to say, Paul, she's Queen Dolly. She seems to kind of run a little bit streaks, doesn't she? When she finds a bit of form, then she tends to put a few runs together.
Yeah, and I have to say, I had exactly the same feeling as Joe with the fact that she wasn't showing electric early speed. She was relying on a break, but she really raced the bend. David's dog in 2, David Mullis's dog, Pantone Whisper. She actually got a bump at the start in the heats, and she just got off stride going into the first turn. She lost her balance a little bit, and then Queen Dolly cut across her, and I couldn't work out whether she wasn't racing the bends fluently at Perry Bar, and it might be that she might come on for this sort of this third look because she's been here before. But I went back and watched the races at Romford, and she's definitely driving the bend there. So I can't see there being any kind of physical issue. It might just be the lack of experience, and the fact that Queen Dolly was on her outside and cutting across her, maybe just she got off-strided. So I do think that Pantone Whisper is some kind of runner in this final. Glory Millie is a bitch that's got a fair degree of early pace. She always catches my eye, and then whenever I put my money down on her, she never really seems to kind of do what I think she's going to do. And she is edging off a little bit on the bend. She's another one. She's definitely not fluent. She's paddling a little bit on the bends, but she's got good all-round speed. But she's just one of those that I really find it difficult to kind of nail down. She's got 7 wins from 23 starts. So I think she's a key to the outcome of the race. And I think all things being equal, I think the way they might crowd up on the inside, I thought Queen Dolly could take advantage. And I do think Dollar Wisecrack is open to improvement from a good draw as well. So they were the two I was looking at really, Queen Dolly and Dollar Wisecrack, again, in quite a competitive final.
So looking at the first of the supporting opens, the puppy race, Joe, do you have a view on it?
Yeah, we've got one in the race, Derby's Treasure. He's a nice pup, and we're hoping he can take to the track first time and run a big race. You know, his debut run here, he was in behind Betty's Book in Nottingham, which is no disgrace. He finished third and stayed on fairly well after a little bit of crowding, and then he took his chance well last Monday. He won last week, and he turned second dog, and I thought he was going to win from where he did, and he did it well. He went one spot quicker than a week before, so. You know, he got beaten 29-42 with the before the going behind Betty's Book, and a decent run, to be fair, on debut here. And I thought he had a chance here, to be fair. It weren't, for me, the strongest of races. Toast of Sydney, I imagine, will be favourite. And he's got to be on his toes, though, to clear one. Drybeck Dandy, who's having his first run. But, you know, the comments on the card, I haven't seen any trials, but the comments on the card, early pace, middle, early pace, middle, early pace, middle, early pace, middle. You know, 359, 358, a decent sectionals, them. And he could cause a few issues here on the run to the corner. So I'll go for our dog to maybe get first run on a couple of slow away dogs around him and go on to win. So it'd be Derby's Treasure for me, for Callum Purdy, and hopefully he can come on for the run at Nottingham last week.
Paul, do you see it the same way?
I think Derby's Treasure is a dog open to improvement, and he was a staying type of dog because he's not really a breaker by any means, but he did stay on well at Nottingham. I thought that Toast of Sydney, I think Joe's quite correct, will probably go a favourite. Will be edging in a little bit. Has got probably a bit of an ease in quality of race that he's been contesting of late. So as long as he gets any kind of break, he's going to need to clear Drybeck Dandy, because I have watched the trials. It's going to cause problems for Toast of Sydney if Drybeck Dandy comes out. But I think if all things being equal, if Toast of Sydney pops out, I think that will be that.
Yeah, I mean, Drybeck Dandy, jointly owned by Paul Gebhard, who often sends bits and pieces onto the website. Young pup having his first ever race, so it's quite a tough introduction, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, Droopy's Tara is another local that's been winning A3 company. Similar comments for Hazel Eyes, who got beat by Droopy's Tara and then went on to win an A3, showing early pace herself. She might be an improver on the outside. All in all, you know, pups are pups, and you need things to go right and clear runs. And it's just Toast of Sydney. I think if he starts, he'll lead and win. And yeah, Derby's Treasure is a greyhound that looks to be on the improve. So they look to be the main two greyhounds in the race.
Gentlemen, moving on to the Stayers race, the 660. Paul, would you like to kick us off with this one?
Yeah, the Staying race I thought was a bit of a tricky race. A lot of locals there. Pat Rosdy's got two greyhounds representing his kennel. Bauer Turbo's already beaten Take My Hand in the red, and Noel's Cookie in the 2. Wingman's a greyhound that I've liked in the past for Frank Bryce. Might be a little bit lack of sort of match practice with just the trials recently, but probably they were going to be the runners for me, 3, 4 and 6 Savannah Darn Hot on the outside, who hasn't raced for Diane Henry since February. So I thought probably the form greyhound was Bauer Turbo in what looks to be a fairly competitive staying race.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the highest quality, but it certainly is going to take some unravelling. Are you any wiser, Joe?
I thought it was quite a winnable race for Savannah Darn Hot and Diane Henry. He hasn't raced for 2 months and was beat by Clever Airmount. Last time he ran over 680 in Nottingham, but he's been in with the best over 4 bends, and I think 5 will be moving in from there. Craigbyne Storm seems desperate for red. So I thought he had a decent draw if he could just maybe pop out and just work his way around the first couple of bends. It's a short run to the bend, the 660 there. So if he can just work his way around the first couple of bends, then I think Sits and go on to win. And he'll be coming back to the field late on. He'll be lack of a run, but I made 4 the other day in Bar Turbo. He's running really well, and if he managed to get off the front, then I couldn't see any reason why anything to catch him. But I'll go for 6, maybe just to show a little bit of class and win the race.
Yeah, Diane does have a habit of bringing dogs back that seem to be a little bit short of a race, but bringing them back in very good condition, doesn't she? Something she excels at. Right, on to the 480. The one that catches eyes straight away, I think, is Tasty Treat in 1. Unfortunately, a 5-dog race. Joe, do you have a fancy in this one?
Yeah, I was quite sweet on Jamara Sprite here in trap 4. I think the 5-dog race will suit. Things didn't go his way in the heats of the Laurels, and he was only a head away from qualifying. I think Westway Blake was in 3rd in the heat, and he was only ahead from qualifying. And Connections would have been desperate just to get through. He's very lightly raced and hadn't raced since October. He's put that behind him, and the Doncaster trials flying. To be fair, 29.36 off a 4.17 sectional is rapid, and I think he could take advantage of maybe 1 and 2 holding each other up. Tasty Treat. You look at Tasty Treats, runs at Perry Bar in trap 1, he's done 364, 376. In trap 3, as we keep mentioning, and they blast out, he done a 350. So he's maybe not breaking as well out of 1 as he can from the middle draw. So I think he can stop 2 getting a run to the corner. And yeah, I was really sweet on 4 here, Jamara Sprite. I couldn't fancy 3 or 5, and I thought 4 was a good thing here.
Paul, do you fancy the 4?
I've not got really anything to add other than that. I was exactly the same there. Jamara Sprite stayed really well. He got beat a length and a half in the cold light of day behind Coolavani Kaiser. I think that's good form after that long layoff. Tasty Treat, I was sweet on in the heats of the Laurels from 3, blasted out, ran really well, switched to track 1, never got the same sort of start and didn't show the same sort of pace in all truth either. So that would be a negative. Savannah Cody's ran all right in the heats and ran respectably in the semi that Candyman won. So I think all things being equal, if Jamara Sprite gets any kind of run and being a 5-dog race with kind of 3 and 5, as Joe says, not probably the class, I expect a big run from Jamara Sprite.
Paul, what do you think?
I think I'm going to forgive Glengar Ronan for Julie Bateson and Kenny Glenn last time. Got an absolute poor break and never got into the contest, whereas his trials was superb. If he gets any kind of start here, this is a winnable race for Glengar Ronan. He hasn't got Matt's Malibu or anything of that sort of class. Skip Along Sarge has been running all right at Toaster. I can't really see how Mina Marvel can clear Skip Along Sarge of what you saw of the videos at Toaster. So I was 5 on top of 2 here.
Joe, do you fancy anything in particular?
I had it exactly the same as PL. I had 5 over 2. You know, Glengar Ronan did it all wrong last week in with Matt's Malibu, and I think Shrewd Call was in the race as well in 4th or 5th. 16 now 8 he's done recently in a race. If anywhere near that, he wins this race comfortably, to be fair. And I had two of the biggest danger. Skip Along Sarge ran well in the Northamptonshire Sprint final last week behind an aeroplane, Bocco's John Joe. So you could say it's a slight drop in class for 2, who should have the legs of 1 and 3 to the corner. And yeah, I was 5 over 2 as well.
Pretty much a 2-dog race then. Finally, the marathon. I think it's fair to say it's a fairly lopsided event, and I'll be surprised if there's less than sort of 20 lengths between first and last. Joe, how do you see the matchup between Savannah Volcano and Iamza Royal?
You're right. It is a complete match between 4 and 5, and I'll go with Iamza Royale to turn last week's form around at Toaster with Savannah Volcano, who caught 5 to finish second, and where 3 weeks ago 5 caught 4 to break the clock at Toaster. And yeah, it was a strange run last week. Volcano stumbled start and shown loads of pace to catch Royale, but yeah, I'll go for it to turn that form round. I think Haverstout will set the race up. I think 3 will set the race up for 5, and I think she can hit the front by the 5th bend, starting the second lap, and that will be that for me. And 4 to be second, and then take your pick for 3rd. I think there might be a bit of a yawning gap between first, second, and then to 3rd. So it looks a complete match race for me.
And Paul, 4 or 5?
I think I've got to go for Iamza Royale. Completely agree with Joe. Me and Lorraine were talking about it at the time, and we just said that word strange. It was really bizarre in that Savannah Volcano stumbled out the boxes, was a mile behind, and then got past Iamza Royale, who I think really struggled to get past Bubbly Angel at Toaster. And between the match race where the 3 of them were back on the 30th of March at Toaster to that race over the same track and trip, it was hard to fathom really the form. But she's a cracking bitch. Iamza Royale, 14 wins from 24. And I think she'll get back onto the winner's trail here.
I think the longer straights will help here as well, Paul. I think, showing plenty of pace last week and then getting to the bubbly bitch and being on the turn. I think the longer straights here will help her. And to be fair, there's no Bubbly Angel in here to set the race up. I think she'll go past 3 fairly comfortably and go on to win from there.